Okay, so after like 72 hours of research, I was able to discover the reason why the sound was not playing when we went into the game. So, the reason why the sound was not playing, while the music rather, the sound was playing perfectly. The reason why the music was not playing when we got into the game was because we did not add this. Apparently, we need to add another specific action that will change the volume on that specific channel because the volume slider, because the music and the sound, they have to be on different channels because they don't play together. You need to be able to play them differently, so we have to put them on different channels. And putting them on different channels, we also need you to be able to change the volume on different channels. So in addition to putting this condition right here, in addition to putting this condition right here, where you change the global variable for the music into the music slider value, you also have to add another action that will change the volume, of the music on that channel, to also to the music drag, also to the music slider value. Yeah, also to the music slider value. I have been dealing with this shit for such a long time. I'm so glad about this. I guess I should have listened to the tutorials more. But anyhow, so I think we now have a good understanding of this. Let me quickly show you. Let me quickly show you. Okay, so let's put this here. You can now hear the music perfectly. The music is not playing perfectly. You can now hear the music. Oh, fuck. You have no idea how troublesome of an issue this shit was. It was a very disturbing kind of shit. I'm actually very relieved about this. I think God about that. So quickly, I'm just going to go through the explanation again so that you guys can understand. Because obviously, even me, I didn't understand, so I need to go through it with you again. So let me just explain everything. At the beginning of the scene, we are centering the position of the camera. Actually, I don't think we need this because we added this because the game itself was not properly centered, and we found the solution right here. If you go and check my previous videos, where you see where I found the solution to that. So you can just go check that out. So at the beginning of the scene, we you change the exposition of the camera to the center of the marker so that it's centered. You hide the marker, and you also hide the settings marker. All of this is happening at the same time at the beginning of the scene. And you're also playing the music Time for Adventure on channel 1 at the volume of settings music. Settings music is the global variable. You are playing it at that volume, and it's going to be on a loop, obviously, because we need that on a loop so that background music, you feel me? And the next event right here says once the music slider is being dragged, you change the variable settings music to be set to music slider value. But apparently that isn't enough because we might be changing the value of this variable right here, but it's not applying to this specific channel. So that is why we need to add this additional action so that what we are doing here we also apply to that specific channel. So as you can see here, it says it changes the volume of the music on channel 1, which this music is playing on. It changes the volume of the music on channel 1 to be set to the music slider draggable the music slider value. So that's why we need that here. We need that there to specify the value, to specify the specific value of the volume on that channel. Or else it's not going to work. It's just going to change the variable, but it's not going to change the volume of the channel. So we need to add this in here so that they can both tally together. And here it says once the button is clicked, you play a sound called new sound effect. That's our button sound. You play it on channel 2 at the volume of setting sound. There is no loop on this one because it's just a button effect. And this also says when the button is hovered, we are going to enable highlights on the buttons. Yeah. And this says when the button is not hovered, it says when the button is hovered, but it's inverse. So that means it's going to mean the opposite. It's now meaning when the buttons are not hovered. Yeah, so this thing when the buttons are not hovered, it's going to enable the highlights on buttons. But what makes this different from this is that this is set to no. So instead of enabling the highlights, it's actually going to do the opposite because of this right here. So it's going to do the opposite of this because of the fact that it has the word no. And this event right here, the next event, one says once the settings button is clicked, the camera is going to twin from base layer. It's going to twin on, not from, it's going to twin on the base layer to the settings marker. It's still within the same scope, within the same everything of the game. Like, okay, let me just show you. It's still within the map, the format of our game. It's still within a platform, within the space that we're using to create the game, and which is basically the base layer. It's still within the base layer, so it's going to turn the camera on the base layer to the settings marker, which is the marker we have on top of our settings screen. It's going to take it to the center X and center Y position, so that will make it be at the very center of that other screen, and it's going to go in with an ease in out squad over 1 second, and it has been labeled as camera move. Same thing applies to the back button right here. Once the back button is clicked, it's going to twin on the same base layer to the marker center X and center Y position, which is our normal menu screen, with the same transition over the period of 1 second as camera move. And this right here is just an action. It changes the variable setting sound. It changes the variable setting sound to be equal to the sound slider value. And this right here, the quit button. Once the quit button is clicked, the game is going to quit. We are going to exit the game. So basically, that is all what we have done here. I just felt like I should explain it because we have gone through a very crazy roller coaster of a ride trying to figure it out. Well, me specifically, because this is a struggle. It's a struggle. I'll just give you guys a little bit. Just give you guys a little piece of advice. Listen carefully. Because this was actually mentioned, but I was only focusing on what I was saying. I wasn't listening. So you have to listen carefully to this type of things because they won't do everything. They're going to explain some things that you might not catch. So please listen carefully to me and anyone else you are learning from. So that's about that. I just want So what I want to quickly do now is set this because it's not still looking nice. I need to find a way to make this thing good, to set it properly. Well, they're not perfect, but anyhow, sure. We'll run the fade. This was perfect. And another thing you might have noticed, whenever we load in the game, let me quit. Whenever we load in the game, the sliders are always at the bottom value. They're always at the lowest value. So in order for you to fix that, you can just come right into the event sheet and you can add an action that will make the music slider that will set the music slider value. They'll set the music slider value to, let's just say 50. And same for the sound slider. Okay, so let's go into that and look at our results. Okay, unfortunately, we have encountered another problem. Okay, okay, let me do this. Let's see how the thing goes. Aha, yes, that's wonderful. So as you can see, okay, if you notice, the last time when we previewed the game previously, you saw that we had to actually drag the slider before the music started playing. But when I entered now, the music, I didn't have to drag the slider before it started playing. So the reason for that was because of this, because of the condition that was there. The condition here was implying that all this all this would only start after the music slider was dragged. After the music slider was dragged. So as a result of that, the settings music, the global variable for the music volume, global variable for the music volume is not equals to the music slider value, making it 0 because the default, let me show you here, because the default values of those two variables are 0. So it's only applied, so the volume only applied the settings to the settings sound, because right here it doesn't have a condition which makes it something that happens like repeatedly throughout every frame of the game. Throughout every frame of the game, the volume of the sound is always being set to the sound slider value. So us putting that condition here means this has to be met before this can be performed. But now us removing it means this is going to be on a constant loop, constantly popping up at every frame of our game. So because of that, now whenever we preview the game, at the very beginning of the scene, these two actions are going to pop up without any condition. They're going to pop up constantly. Okay guys, so that's going to be the end of today's video. In the next video, we're going to be learning how to apply a save function so that our volumes stay the same as we left it when we quit the game. So don't forget to like, subscribe, don't forget to like, leave a comment down below and subscribe to the channel. See you tomorrow.